They roared through the 60s and 70s, took over drag strips, highways, and hearts. But somehow, the world moved on. These five muscle legends once ruled the roads, and if you're over 50, you probably remember them better than your first love. Buick GSX, Super Bee, the Forgotten Javelin AMX. They're not just cars, they're a part of your story. Let's bring them back for one last ride.
Number 3. When you think of American performance cars of the late 1980s, the spotlight usually falls on the Ford Mustang. Yet, lurking in the shadows was a machine that handled better, looked sharper, and offered serious performance. The Chevrolet Camaro IROC Z. The name comes from the International Race of Champions, and this was more than just a badge. Chevy built it to represent racing pedigree on the street. Many casual observers assumed it was simply a trim package, but underneath, it carried components that made it a genuinely capable performance machine. Engine and performance. The IROC Z could be ordered with several V8 options, including 305 cubic inch V8, 5-liter, 350 cubic inch V8, 5.7-liter, the most desirable. Power output ranged from about 215 horsepower to 350 plus horsepower, depending on the year and tuning upgrades. Although modest by modern standards, for the late 1980s, the dark era of emissions-strangled performance, this was serious power. The engine delivered strong torque, making acceleration smooth and satisfying. Quarter-mile times were competitive with Mustangs of the era, and in real-world driving, the IROC Z often felt faster thanks to its torque curve and grip. Handling and suspension. The IROC Z truly separated itself in cornering ability. It featured tuned handling package, lowered ride height, quicker ratio steering, performance tires, and optional limited slip differential. This setup provided far greater stability and cornering performance than the standard Camaro, especially at speed. Compared to the Mustang GT, which was prone to tail happiness and body roll, the IROC Z felt planted and confidence-inspiring. Automotive journalists of the era noted it could almost keep up with some European sports cars on winding roads, a surprising fact for an American muscle platform. Aerodynamic styling. The IROC Z stood out visually. Sleek ground effects, lower stance, hood louvers, distinctive 16-inch alloy wheels, optional T-tops. It captured the 80s performance vibe perfectly, aggressive but stylish. Its low, sharp profile gave it a futuristic look that still holds up today. Many enthusiasts consider the IROC Z one of the best-looking Camaros ever built. Interior and features. Inside, you got sport bucket seats, driver-focused dash, optional digital gauges, manual or automatic gearbox. While not luxurious, the interior was comfortable enough and carried the racing look of the era. Why was it overlooked? Despite its capability, the IROC Z never gained the same legendary status as the Mustang, mostly due to Mustang's stronger brand popularity, frequent drivetrain detuning to meet emissions, and Camaro's declining cultural identity during the 80s. But enthusiasts today recognize that the IROC Z delivered a remarkable blend of power, handling, and style that often surpassed its main rival.
Number 2. During the 1980s, Japan produced some of the world's most technologically advanced performance cars. Among them was a machine that never gained the same mainstream recognition in the US as the Supra or RX-7, yet quietly offered exceptional balance, speed, and refinement. The Nissan 300ZX Z31. Introduced in 1984 as the successor to the 280ZX, the Z31 kept the legacy of the Z car alive, blending Japanese precision with turbocharged muscle. Engine and performance. Available setups included 3-liter VG30E V6, 160 to 170 horsepower, and 3-liter VG30 ET Turbo V6, 200 plus HP. The turbo model was the star, producing strong mid-range torque and quick acceleration. 0 to 60 miles per hour times were in the 6 to 7 second range, excellent for its era, and competitive with contemporary V8 American muscle. The VG engine was reliable, tunable, and capable of handling significantly more power than stock. Even today, enthusiasts build 300ZX turbos to serious performance levels. Handling and chassis. The Z31 featured independent suspension, rear-wheel drive, low, balanced weight distribution, and quick steering. The result was a confident, composed machine on winding roads. While heavier than RX-7 and less raw than Supra Turbo, the 300ZX delivered extremely stable high-speed cornering. Owners praise its predictability. It communicates well without being twitchy, making it friendly to both new and experienced drivers. Aerodynamics and design. The Z31 embraced sharp 80s styling, angular wedge shape, pop-up headlights, flared fenders, and optional T-tops. It looked futuristic, yet subtle, part of the reason it didn't shout for attention like other sports cars of its era. But its aerodynamic profile was no joke. It contributed significantly to performance and stability. Inside, the cockpit was tech-forward, with optional digital gauges and typical Nissan ergonomic design. Why was it underappreciated? Several reasons. Not as flashy or aggressive as Supra. RX-7 captured the rotary fan base. American market preferred big-engine RWD muscle. Styling aged strangely for some buyers. But those who drove it appreciated its balance, reliability, and tuning potential. In Japan and among true Z-car enthusiasts, it earned deep respect. Racing pedigree. The Z31 was not just a commuter sports car. It competed. It found success in IMSA GTP, Group C endurance racing, and national-level circuits. The Z31 cemented Nissan's performance reputation and paved the way for later legends like 300ZX Z32 and Skyline GTR R32. Collectability. For decades, the Z31 was overlooked, but today, prices are rising, turbo models are becoming desirable, and clean T-top and Shiro special editions are most sought after. It remains one of the best value classic Japanese sports cars.
Number 1. During the 1980s, Porsche built more than just the 911. In fact, one of the decade's best handling sports cars came from the front-engine side of Stuttgart, the Porsche 944 Turbo, known internally as the 951. Released in 1985, it came from the evolution of the original 944, but with major improvements that transformed it from a quick GT into a scalpel-sharp turbocharged machine. Engine and performance. Under the hood sat a 3.5-liter inline-4. During the 1980s, Porsche built more than just the 911. In fact, one of the decade's best-handling sports cars came from the front-engine side of Stuttgart, the Porsche 944 Turbo, known internally as the 951. Released in 1985, it came from the evolution of the original 944, but with major improvements that transformed it from a quick GT into a scalpel-sharp turbocharged machine. Engine and performance. Under the hood sat a 3.5-liter inline-4, 217 to 250 horsepower, varied by model and year. Don't be fooled by the 4 cylinders. The engine was derived from half of Porsche's legendary 928 V8 design. With turbocharging, it delivered power smoothly and strongly, especially at mid to high RPM. Performance numbers. US spec. 0 to 60 miles per hour, 5.5 to 6.0 seconds. Top speed, approximately 160 miles per hour, 257 kilometers per hour. At the time, this put the 944 Turbo right alongside or ahead of the 911 Carrera. Balanced chassis equals handling legend. One of the greatest advantages of the 944 Turbo was its nearly perfect 50-50 weight distribution thanks to its front-mounted engine and rear transaxle transmission in the rear. This layout gave the car exceptional balance and poise. It felt predictable on the edge and inspired confidence even for non-expert drivers. Magazine testers often described the 944 Turbo as one of the best handling cars of the 1980s. Even today, its stability and steering precision hold up. Why it was overshadowed. Despite its brilliance, the 944 Turbo lived under the shadow of the 911. Reasons: Porsche fans worshipped rear-engine cars. 4 cylinders versus 6 made buyers hesitant. Less exotic appearance compared to 911. Seen as the entry-level Porsche. Because of this reputation, many dismissed it unfairly, assuming it was obviously inferior. Yet anyone who drove one knew the truth. Racing success. The 944 Turbo was a legitimate motorsport performer. IMSA Firehawk, SCCA Racing, endurance events. Some race-prepped versions even beat contemporary 911s on technical circuits where balance mattered more than brute power. This proved that the 944 Turbo was not merely an affordable Porsche, it was a track weapon. Interior and features. The cockpit was classic 80s Porsche. Deep gauge cluster. Supportive sports seats. Driver-focused layout. Optional extras included ABS, air conditioning, leather upgrades. It was more comfortable than the 911, making it a usable daily sports car. Special variant, 944 Turbo S 1988 to 1989. The S model pushed performance even further. 250 horsepower, upgraded suspension and brakes, LSD standard, faster spool and higher boost. This made it one of the fastest 4-cylinder production cars of the decade. Collectability today. For years, the 944 Turbo was overlooked, making it relatively affordable. But in recent years, prices are rising. Enthusiasts appreciate its dynamics. Maintenance is cheaper than 911. It remains one of the best value classic Porsches today.